Hi everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek, and I am back tonight having just finished up Una McCormack's Second Self. I believe, third or fourth, maybe fourth in the Picard book series, the most kind of recent series of books they've put out. I've read the other book that she wrote for this series, The Last Best Hope, which kind of covered the lead up to everything that happened, with the Romulan supernova and the evacuation and everything that kind of they talked about in Picard. And now this book here is the kind of following up from the events of season one, focusing on Raffi Musiker. And really, they kind of do a disservice with this cover. But I know what they're doing. They're trying to sell the book. So, of course, Jean-Luc's going to get top billing there. But, I mean, he's in the book for, like, this much. And it really is just, it's a book about Raffi's history and, surprisingly, some interesting kind of post-Dominion War stuff. And some surprises that I was not expecting. So, I will give this, it's like a non-spoiler review, I would say. It's an interesting backstory on Raffi and another character. It does a little bit of time skipping. Not a lot of action in the book, really. Very little at all, but still very, I guess, in the way it was wrote, where they were kind of going further and further back in time and then kind of coming out from that, made it very interesting. But I felt disappointed someone at the end. Still enjoyed it, and I'm starting to think that maybe my disappointment was not from the book itself, but maybe my opinion on what the author did. But anyway, I still had a great time with it. And let's kind of jump right into it and just have a look at the book itself, because it's a nice big hardcover book. So here's the title, or the cover there. The back page has an excerpt from the book, so we're not going to mess with that right now. Again, written by Una McCormack, published last year, September 2022. So, one of the most recent Trek novels. Here's the blurb from the inside here. Following the explosive events seen in Season 1 of Star Trek Picard, Raffi Musiker finds herself torn between returning to her old life as a Starfleet intelligence officer or something a little more tame, teaching at the academy perhaps. The decision is made for her, though, when a message from an old contact, a Romulan spy, is received, asking for immediate aid. With the help of Elnor and assistance from Jean-Luc Picard, Raffi decides to take on this critical mission and quickly learns that the past sins never stay buried. Finding the truth will be complicated and deadly. Now, maybe I read wrong, but I don't really think that's how the beginning of the story even went down. But besides the point. Just a nice looking straight black book there, with some gold writing on the spine. But anyway, enough about the outside of the book. Let's talk about the book itself. So, the book picks up after the events of Season 1 of Picard. And I thought for some reason it was after Season 2. I guess maybe just because when it was released. But no, after Season 1. So it picks up with Raffi kind of being vindicated. For years she was like a nut, a conspiracy theorist. But with, her and Jean-Luc able to solve the situation there at Capellius, with the synthetics and all that, and they've been able to prove that she was right, that there was a Romulan plot all that time, and she was not crazy. So now we join her trying to kind of find her place in the world. Right now she is visiting Jean-Luc in Labar, and he kind of goads her into a mission for him, which is something that he's kind of one of his things that he does, to people, basically kind of little bit by little bit kind of convince them to do this, for him. So But the problem is the mission will take her to the planet Ordive. And Ordive was a planet that she had some trouble with uh, in one of her first postings shortly after the Dominion War. So uh, Jean-Luc convinces her to go, and she reaches out to an old intelligence Romulan contact, Sokara, and he is the current governor there of that place, which is kind of another reason why Jean-Luc wanted her to go, because he knew of her history and all that. So, and how is she going to get there? Of course, she's going to take the Stargazer. So they're going to throw in a few more little kind of cameos as they can from the Picard show. But again, it's really a Raffi novel and the other secret character coming up here. And I guess I could talk about that now because this is when they reveal the real mission. And even though they've kind of been sent there on this kind of faux diplomatic mission of helping the Romulans negotiate with the Cardassians to get more space, they are really on the hunt for Elam Garak, who is apparently now wanted by the Bajoran government and has gone underground, not to be seen for some time, and is suspected to be on Ordive. So Jean-Luc has asked her to go specifically to kind of hunt down Garak, specifically because Loris has asked him to. Because apparently, and they don't really get too deep into it, but he was somehow the cause of Zaban's death. I don't know. That's kind of, or maybe he did something to him in the past. I think that maybe either I missed it or they just didn't get into it very much because I don't remember what was the purpose there. But anyway, they're sent to track down Garak, who is supposed to be on this planet. So they get to the planet, they meet with Sokara, and basically the problem is that there are more Romulans that want to resettle here. You know, after the supernova, the more Romulans need places to go. They already have a certain number here. Now, like the families and the friends, they want to come as well. The Cardassian government is saying no, and that's what they're trying to negotiate. So Raffi meets up with her old friend, Sokara, and he kind of shows him the situation and then convinces her to take a trek to the Kanta Valley. And this is like a place that's been closed off for years. The Cardassians say that there's some sort of obsidian order black site up there, so the whole space is closed off. But the Romulans insist that up there they can find room to resettle their people. So they excuse me. Oh goodness. They agree, or Raffi agrees to go and check out this valley for a couple days and see if it's a viable possibility, even though the Cardassian people there, they don't really want her to do that. Okay. All right. It is a very good book. Very interesting, and I think just the end kind of turned me a little bit on it. But we'll get to that. Anyway. They're on the planet. They're going to go to the Kanta Valley. On the way, they run into a Bajoran archaeologist who's mysteriously there looking for some ruins. His name is Toes. And he also, thanks to Elnor, finds out about their mission and wants to go with them into the Kanta Valley. So kind of like they're stuck at this point to take him with them. And they all journey upriver into this valley. As soon as they get to a certain part there in the valley, they are closed in by a force field, and they're unable to reach the Stargazer anymore, and they are cut off. And it's at that time when they come across an old Bajoran, like a religious person kind of wandering the woods there. But it's not. It is actually Elam Garak, disguised to look like an old Bajoran person. Bum, bum, bum. And that's kind of where like the first part ends right there. So then they take you into part 2, which is like the first posting that Raffi had there on Ordive. So this gives you kind of a little bit of interesting history. And this was one of the things that I think I liked most about the book, and I wish maybe they'd even spent more time with, was the post Dominion War Fallout stuff, which was very cool. So they were there. The Federation was there on Ordive after the Dominion War, and the Romulans were basically kind of coming in, taking over the area at that time. But there was a small colony of Cardassians that was there as well. So basically, the Romulans were going to come and massacre the Cardassians, was the long and short of it. And Raffi and her very, very small group of Starfleet people, I think they had something like four officers with them, were kind of sent there to do what they could. And initially it was to not interfere, but, being who they are, they had to do what they did, which was to try to save as many of these Cardassian colonists as they could. Now, all this time here, they're also touching on kind of two other different weird things about this planet. One is this drug that they all take, well, most of the people take, that grows there, called the scarlet poppy, which I don't think plays a huge part into it, but maybe I think was kind of put in there to just kind of add some backstory, maybe to Raffi's addiction problem, later down the road. But then the other is the dreams. Everyone on this planet has these strange dreams where they see these people bathed in light, talking to them, giving them warnings. So that's one of the things that she's been getting. Is first she's been getting warnings to come to the valley, come across the river, come to the Canta Valley and all that. So, and in speaking with other officers, they've also been having these dreams. So they all kind of agree together that they have to move these Cardassians out of here, and then try to save as many of them as they can before the Romulans move in. So this was her kind of big past struggle at Ordive, and they're able to get quite a few of them out through a secret tunnel that they found and get them up into the Canta Valley. And then when they get so far into the valley, then they start all having these dreams, basically all right, stop, go no farther, wait here. And then that kind of whole situation kind of resolves itself right there. The one also thing about this book is that there's not a lot of action at all. It's basically these situations always kind of resolve themselves peacefully, as this one does. So they're waiting, patiently out in the woods. They have a jamming thing in effect, but the power on it is going down. They feel that they're just about to get caught by these Romulans that are searching the area, when they're saved at the last moment by a burst of energy that they can't explain, which powers up all their devices and shields them just long enough to save them until Starfleet arrives. And they're able to safely get off the planet, having saved those Cardassians. I failed to mention that kind of a big part of that part of the story was a young Vulcan ensign that was assigned to work with Raffi. And sadly, he sacrificed his life to save a Cardassian there on the planet, and died there, which was one of the main reasons that she was kind of didn't want to go back and had so much trouble with this. So the character was Avarak, was I think a very well written character, and it was well done. And I think his impact, this impact of his death was felt. So I think that was all really well done. Now we go a little bit deeper. So she gets off of that, and that's kind of the end of that part of the story. Now we're going back again. So now we're still on Ordive, but now we're back during the original occupation. And there's a Bajoran village there, and a Bajoran temple there. And there is a Cardassian military base there. And there we meet a young Cardassian named Masquerade, who initially is sent there as kind of the lowest level, just to be a servant, a dishwasher, and kind of work his way up because that's his position in life, basically. Yeah, but they reveal kind of more and more that it's not exactly that. And you can tell because, you already know what's going on. This is actually just Garrick, in disguise, maybe this is supposed to be his first mission for the Obsidian Order. And he's trying to get close to the officers there. He's trying to get close with this officer Kennett so he can plant listening devices, and just basically try to obtain the information that the Order has sent him to get. So after kind of fumbling at first with this one officer and messing up and getting that guy sent away, he's able to plant, the stuff that he needs, and plant the listening devices that he wants to, and kind of continue on with his original job that he's doing there. During that time, he visits the Bajoran temple, where he meets a Vedic named Sabathan, and he has a couple of kind of disconcerting conversations with this Vedic, and then at the time, just kind of realizes that something is off, but goes back to what he was doing. And what he was doing was basically discovering the real purpose of those Bajorans there. So he kind of investigates a little bit, and he finds out that they're actually smuggling weapons there, and he riles up the whole base. And this is when he kind of this is a cool scene where he walks into the officers' quarters, and he slaps the console and tells the secret Obsidian Order code, and all of a sudden everybody there is like, whoa. They know they've messed up. They've been mistreating him and all that, the whole chapter. But now they know he's Obsidian Order, and he's in charge and laying down the law. And basically he orders that the whole village is to be burned. Everybody is set inside this barn and trapped, but the children and the Vedic all have escaped, and they have no idea where they've gone. But still, it's a big victory for the Cardassians and for the Obsidian Order. They've been able to shut down this operation, and they send all the Bajorans off to these resettlement camps. But the question always remains about what happened to these children and this old Vedic there. So Masquerade goes back to Cardassia Prime and gets his next mission, and kind of things move on from there. So now they go to the final wrapping up of the book here, which is picking up, right after they've, in the present, or whatever, have met up with Garrick, and the shields have just gone up there. So, and this is kind of, I think, when the book seemed kind of was winding down. I was waiting for the big confrontation, the big reveal, the big plot point, but it just seemed like it didn't happen. So basically they marched up the river. It's revealed that the archaeologist Toes, of course, is not just an archaeologist. He is Bajoran intelligence. So I guess, one of the cool things about this book is it's all these intelligence officers. You've got the Tal Shiar, you've got the Bajoran intelligence, you got the Obsidian Order. So all these different intelligence agencies and kind of working with each other and against each other, and that was pretty cool. But at the end, I think, was just kind of weird. So at the end, one of the other shields, which was covering the site further up the river that they were going to go check out, mysteriously goes down. So now they can head up the river and check out the place. So as they get closer, they see some fires coming up from there, and there they find a village full of, kind of Bajorans in their 30s or something like that. But a kind of thriving village of some Bajorans there. And when they get there, Garrick, who's dressed up as his old Vedic, is greeted as if he is basically known by this Bajoran woman, who comes up and grabs him and gives him a big hug and acts like she's known him all her life. And it turns out that she has. And she'll explain that. It's dark now. Okay. She'll explain that as this goes on. So they go into the village, where they're kind of greeted with surprise and joy by the people there. And they go to this small house. And in this small house, they see this kind of desk with all these things scattered on it, pads and writings and books. And here it's when we find out that Vedic Sabathan is actually the disguised Elam Garrick. Bum, bum, bum. So that's the big twist of the book. And this group of Bajorans is in care of one of the orbs of the prophets. And through the orb's shenanigans, they are able to send the disguised Garrick Sabathon back in time so that he can rescue the orb and rescue the children from his former self. Like, that's actually, it's a pretty cool idea. Now that I'm saying it again out loud, I'm less disparaging of it, I guess. It is a pretty cool idea. And that's how the story ends. They have a little bit of an ending where, Raffi goes back and talks to JL, and she agrees to join the academy and go with him to the academy. And Eleanor is going to go to the academy too, of course, setting up, season 2 of Picard. But that's just kind of like a little bookends to the story to tie it into Picard. But really, it's like it's Garrick's story. I mean, and kind of Raffi being a part of that. So, I don't know, I wonder, and nothing is said on anywhere about it, so they did keep it a mystery in there, and I wonder if maybe, more people would have known about that. More people would have wanted to pick it up. Well, anyway, now. It's a Garrick story. So, 50% Garrick, 50% Raffi. I guess what I just didn't like was, I don't like reading the end to someone's story. So, I didn't like that she was able to tie up that. So, I guess in my mind, it doesn't really matter. The story can go on and on forever, and there could be, even kind of at the end, he was kind of hinting that maybe the prophets weren't done with him yet. So, there could be more shenanigans on top of shenanigans to bring Garrick back into the fold, because who doesn't love Garrick, right? So that's why I was really excited when that came up in this book. I'm like, what? This is actually a backdoor Garrick story nobody told me? So that was good. But I was looking for maybe a little bit more action and didn't get it. But I wasn't disappointed, because there was definitely plenty of intelligence double dealing, plenty of Dominion War backstory, plenty of Garrick, and I do like Raffi's character, and I especially like where she's going with this new season of Picard too. So always nice getting more backstory on someone that you're interested in. So yeah, that's what I think about Second Self. An interesting book that maybe could have used some more action, but all in all, told a fun story and did it in a fun way. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. We're going to go ahead and end it here, and we're going to spend some time staring this way at the bookshelf, because I don't know what I want to do next. But I'm having a feeling it's going to be diving back into some TNG, because it's been a bit, and I think I'm feeling the need for some classic Next Generation novel fun. So we'll see where that takes us. But for tonight, we are all set. So as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper, and we will see you in the next one.